This is Plug Unplug Part 7. I'm MT Karthik, you can call me MTK. I ended the last one talking a little bit about how English in India made a difference when it came to internet cafes and their engagement with youth, but I think that might be a kind of a simplistic explanation, so we're going to leave that off. But I do want to continue talking about gaming and how it has exploded. I have not participated, and so it's been hard to consider it. But I read everything like everybody else, and I'm aware a little bit of it happening. For me, a really great piece was the one in the August 2010 issue of the New Yorker, August 9, by Nicholson Baker, where he takes the biggest selling games of the time and he plays them against his teenage son, and then he reports the the activity like in straight news form. And it's a great piece. It's called "My Son Is Killing Me" by Nicholson Baker in the August 9, 2010 issue of the New Yorker. But what's really cool, I thought, was in the criticisms and the comments below the piece, a blogger named Greg Kostikian, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that, noted that Baker has done the equivalent of watching the top 10 Hollywood blockbusters of the year. Doing so will not develop a particularly acute appreciation for the virtues of cinema as an art form. I would suggest that something of the same applies to games. The most interesting work is rarely done in the most commercial venues. He continues, of the games Baker plays, only Heavy Rain, I don't know this game, but is, from a game designer's perspective, remotely interesting. Better he should experience Braid, Flow, Passage, Dwarf Fortress, The Baron. I don't know anything about any of these games, but it speaks to the breadth of the culture in the time that we've been engaged in that kind of a thing. Gaming has left the territory of being just for teenaged boys, and it is now designed in full for adults and families. Guitar Hero and the Wii are as common in people's homes as Monopoly or chess. I've missed it. I'm out of the loop with regard to this culture a lot. I will have missed a trend or fad in gaming or a popular television show in my absence in my unplugged period. And I've come to realize this. So now that's become the thing we're all swimming in because of the fluidity of data. But all of this was during the period of the spectrum as a thing existing. The thing the FCC wanted so heavily to control, which we resisted actively. Well, I certainly resisted, and I wasn't alone. There was a large pirate radio movement from the beginnings of my interest in it that led to so many more interesting efforts for free radio. I mean, free speech through the FM. I should be able to have that. That's a thing I think is still like water, a right, if I can build a transmitter. But we've become distracted by this other medium, and I'm talking about gaming, having been left out of gaming. I'm not alone in this. As the digital age proceeds, our concepts of time and truth grow increasingly stretched. Pluralism of media has diluted information and the concepts of time and truth. The fluidity of the new pluralized media, the timeless interconnectedness of the digital era that puts old TV, movies, and games and new content all out together in this huge, mostly corporate library, which we now call the spectrum of it, makes it possible to skip across generations of consumers arrayed in competing technology. They're in cliques on the basis of their consumption of media. People rarely agree on what's best or true anymore. There's too many options across generations to compare, and at any rate, it's like comparing apples to oranges. More interesting effects are something like, as soon as I say the name of the program, it'll have a resonance. And the question is whether or not that is a very narrow group of people, Rick and Morty, at the moment. But I think we can now consider the fascination, right, of the original regular viewers of David Lynch's TV epic Twin Peaks, the people in this country who sat in their homes around the country and watched it, right? We can now consider that by broadcasting it episode by episode in a university classroom over a semester. considering it in relation to that nation's social and political context, the United States, then, I mean, I've even now binge watched. It's a thing I think we all do, and that is something that has emerged from this pluralism of media. Is it transgenerational, though? I don't know. I've crossed 5 minutes and I got distracted, so I'm just going to end with a metaphoric sort of comment. I had a beard for 40 years, and, 30 years, and recently have begun shaving everything off completely for a clean face. I want to communicate differently and more openly. And people cannot guess that I'm 50. They, to a person, over and over and over, happen to guess like 12 years younger, like roughly. And I was thinking to myself that what I could do is I could binge watch all the programs that 38-year-olds watched. I could memorize, using the internet, facts about everything that 38-year-olds are into. And I could just become a 38-year-old and just start telling people I'm 38, and we'll just start operating that way. If I then met 38-year-old friends, never told them I was 50, and deepened and enriched that cultural context by, when we're all watching those shows or referring to them together, being able to connect, or that song comes on the radio and dance. I know, that's a very interesting effect, I think. All right, I've gone over. This was part 7. Sorry, it's a bit... they're going to get less tight because I'm kind of just taking it off the net. You can find this on the net. I'm just reading it off my website, the archive site, which is mtkarthik.wordpress.com. All right, thanks for paying attention so long.